Hello everybody, Всем привет. Today I'm going to do some reverse engineering on Heroes of Might and Magic, the original, and I have a plan for figuring out how the Windows 95 editor specified heroes in various locations. I haven't figured out the location. Well, I have an idea of the location aspect, and I can show you that. But first, I want to make sure that I have the hero definitions correct. And what you see on the left side of the screen is a script that I ran, written in Python with some AI assistance to look for specific addresses. I'm going to go into a game here. I've been using Dragon Rider as so this map here, this is a custom made map that won a contest. I think it was made by a guy named Jason Church, and I can show you how I know that as well. So if you watched my other video, I basically explained that the DOS version is a little broken. It doesn't correctly interpret Windows 95 maps. There's a little hack we can do. I'm going to do the cheat code, which is 101495, and that opens up the entire map. Basically, Windows 95, the map editor, allowed you to place heroes on the map, but the version before that, basically DOS, perhaps version 1.0 of the program, maybe version 1.1, heroes would just be randomly generated in your castle. So this was like a new mechanic that they added when they updated the executable for Windows 95. Since Good Old Games only lets you play with the DOS version, especially on like Windows 11, the only way to sort of make this work is to use the cheat, to use the 101495 cheat. But anyway, so what I've been analyzing this map because it has a placed hero. So this is our hero Kastore, and he starts with one dragon. It's called Dragon Rider, so presumably he's some kind of dragon rider. And how many artifact slots do we have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14. So we have 14 artifact slots, and there's no spells in our spellbook. But I just looked up before starting this. I just looked up how many spells there were. There were 29 spells in 29 spells in the spellbook. Here's the list. You've got 7 level 1 spells, 8 level 2 spells, 9 level 3 spells, and 5 level 4 spells for a total of 29. So anyway, we're back here. Let's go and just quickly look at the opponent heroes that are located right, precariously near the castle that you control for this first turn. So we've got Ambrose with lots of archers and a pack of pikemen. We've got Antoine with lots of orcs and a pack of wolves, and Astra with a pack of elves and a pack of dwarves. So we should be able to find all 4 of these heroes somewhere in the map. And I had previously written a script to search for, basically I gave it sort of approximate coordinates. This is something like, 5 and, it's maybe the 5th or 6th row and the 7th or 8th column. And this is sort of in the 50 to 60th row and maybe the 20th to 30th column somewhere down here. Those hits didn't turn up, so I have a different theory as to how the coordinates are created. And basically, there's these map tiles are somehow encoded later on in the extra 20 kilobytes at the end of the file there's another four bytes that are used per tile to define information, and that's where I think these hero locations are. That's where I think they're encoded somehow. So I'm still working on reverse engineering that, but right now I want to do a bit of a cool trick to see if we understand at least how the heroes are specified. So over here on, let's see, I'm going to minimize this. So over here on the left side, I have a script that I ran to look for certain signatures, and I can actually just pull up that script. I call it Heroes of Might and Magic 1 Hero Decode Output, and I've written some portrait names. So these are the portrait identities, and let me show you how I know what those are. I've got in my AGG files, I have decoded the monsters. So I have a monster identity here. Peasants are 0, dragons are 23. I've converted those to hex values. So hex of the value 23 for the dragon is 17, 22, hydras 16. So basically I can identify the different creatures in the slot of a hero. I've also looked up the portrait names here for just a few of them, and I can show you what that looks like inside the AGG file. We have to go down here to port. So, like for example, port 00. This is Lord Kilburn. Let's just go. So I know we're looking. Actually 20. I think they're 0 based. So actually 19. Oh nope, I'm wrong. That's because it's hex. So 20 on hex should be something like let's see, 0 base. That I think that would be like 31. So is that cast? Nope, that's Ari. Maybe it's 32. Yeah, 32 is Kastore. So yeah, that makes sense. 32, 16. Yeah. So each hex 1 represents a value of 16. So 2 times that would be 32. Even though it's 0 based, that's technically the 33rd one would be 20. So let's just see what the last portrait is. It's this guy, and I'm not enough of an expert to be able to tell you all the names of all the heroes. It's been just a little bit too long. But anyway, that's how we know the hero portraits. I picked out a few of these so that we can detect them. And I also have all the artifact names that I encoded in here so we can detect the artifacts. And what I did was I wrote a script to use in my map format here. Let's go back to the top here. We have the first number of sections. So we have our fixed headers, map height. We have this big tile block, which is 10 bytes per tile. Then we have the specifications of the castles, the specifications of the mines and the special structures, which includes the Dragon City and also includes the lighthouse, the flaggable structures. Section 3 is another tile map that is for the sound effects. And then we have this, what I'm calling the sparse column headers. We have some of that. And then at the end, for Windows 95 formats, we have another 4-byte tile map, which I'm still figuring out exactly what that means. But I think that in this 4-byte tile map, I think that is where the hero location is encoded for, like, basically when you create a map with a map editor and you put a hero somewhere, this is where that information is encoded. So I think this is like an addendum, that like information. They're like, hey, wouldn't it be cool if we had actually, instead of doing 10 bytes per tile, if we had done 14 or 15. And it could be that, you know, back in the 90s when they were coding this up, they created a 10-byte system and they're like, hey, that's pretty good. And then they're like, you know what? Let's add a sound map. And that might have been the version 1.1 of the game, was they added the sound map, the sound effect tile overlay. And then version 1.2 of the game might be the version that has, you know, that had this. And maybe my version numbers are off. I'm just speculating as to how that might have played out. But it seems like, you know, the first 10 byte tile block was like the main core idea. And then they came up with this sound effect add-on, and then they came up with something else for the map editor. And, you know, it could also be something for optimizing the memory in Windows 95. But anyway, I wrote a script with some AI assistants to go in here and look at this sparse header region. So kind of in this middle zone between this 4-byte tile map that starts at the end of the file, or that I basically was able to detect from the end of the file, and then between section 3, which is the sound effect tile map. So there's this kind of gray area in between where I wasn't sure what information is in these memory addresses, but I was like, you know, this hero data needs to be encoded somewhere. And if there's a tile map, you're not going to cram all this hero data in the tile map. It's going to probably look more like this stuff where you have the castles and mines, you know, their locations and, you know, what kind of mine they are. That was encoded in sort of a block. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to search. I'm going to look for some blocks here. And, you know, how do I know what to search for? Well, in this case, I went up here and, you know, and I looked at Kastore and I was like, okay, he's got a dragon. He's got this artifact, and I know it's Kastore. So I know Kastore is number 0x20 in hex. So hex 20, which is 33 on the index. I know that the true compass of mobility here is, let's see, I had it back here, the true compass of mobility. Okay, I call it the traveler's compass. I'm gonna actually rename this true compass of mobility. So anyway, this is what we're looking for here in a spell slot, or not a spell slot, an artifact slot. And then we know up here the portrait names, and then we know the creature names. So I'm looking for something with a dragon. So I'm looking for a hex value of 17 near a hex value of 0020 and near a hex value of 0023. So I fed that into the AI and said, help me look in this section, you know, let me extract this section of bytes, and then let's look for some pattern, some sequence of a couple of these values. So this was the result on the left side of what came out of that script. You know, the first slot here, all zeros, whatever, you know, so maybe there's nothing there, maybe it's padding, we don't know. The second slot, there's some stuff, not clear what it is, we don't know. The third slot, we hit Kastore very, very quickly. Hold on, this let's see. So we hit Kastore. We're seeing we have the traveler's compass, which is what I named it before, but it's actually the true compass of mobility. We have this dragon, and we have our portrait of Kastore. And if we look at this, at these, you know, these are the actual bytes. So there's something going on here. The first 3 bytes, it's all zeros. We don't know what that is. 17 is a dragon, and we know we have 1 dragon. So this is what's interesting here is, okay, we've got our 1, our value of 1, and we have a 17. And why wouldn't that be like 17 and 1, and then, you know, some other creature type and some other number? Well, if we go in here and we look at how many creature slots we have 5 creature slots. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So going back over here, 17 is in the first creature slot there. 0, 0, 0, 0. So basically the other 4 creature slots are empty. Then we have a 1 here. And that, okay, that's kind of interesting. So this, we've probably found the dragon. We've got some other zeros, and then we have 20, which is hex for Kastore's portrait, so that identifies our hero. And then we have 23, which is our artifact that we have here. Now, we have a spellbook, which is standard equipment for a warlock, but then we don't really know what's happening after, you know, there's a whole bunch of zeros padded after here. Now, so let me just keep looking at some of these others. That, you know, this is promising. We've probably found Kastore, but we don't fully understand what all these different hex values are. Well, let's go down a little further. We see another sort of, you know, if you looked up here, there was something that was populated. We don't really know what this is. Then we have Kastore. Now we have something else that's populated, just a 0, 1 here. Okay, that's interesting. But everything else is 0. So, okay, maybe that's some kind of empty slot. Who knows? Getting down here, we find Ambrose. So that's based back over here. Where this this slot here has image 8. And if we go down and we look at the next one, we have a sorceress here, Astra. And if we go down one more, we also have Antoine. So this third space, the third hex value on the second row, you know, these are 16 wide, by the way. So this is 16 bytes wide. So this is the 19th byte is our hero identity. So we have Antoine, we have Astra, we have Ambrose. So we're pretty sure we found that. Ambrose has FF, Astra has FF, Antoine has FF. So I don't think they have any artifacts. That's what I think that means. But it's interesting because this is 4 FFs, this is 3 FFs, and an artifact. So is this FF some kind of terminator? We'll figure that out. I have a plan for figuring that out. But let's look at the creature slots here well, we have Astra, Antoine, and Ambrose. Interesting, they all start with A. That's funny. And, you know, also look at this first slot. So our first slot for Kastore, sorry, the third slot. The first 2 are zeros, but the third slot is 0, 0 for Kastore. When we look at Ambrose, that third slot is 0, 1. When we look at Astra, that third slot is 0, 3. And when we look at Antoine, that third slot is 0, 2. So does that mean that is that like a type of hero? It might be. It could be the hero type because they're all 4 different. So it could be that 0, 0 is a warlock, and 0, 1 would be a knight, 0, 3 would be a sorceress, 0, 2 would be the barbarian. It could also be the player owner. So it could be that 0, 0 is like our player, and then the opposing teams, it could be their ID. It could also be a color. So we don't know yet, and I have a plan to figure that out too. I'll show you. But anyway, let's look at Ambrose here quick. So I'm gonna go back to the map here. We're gonna look at Ambrose. He has lots of archers and a pack of pikemen. And let's scroll in here. So pikemen are 002 and archers are 001. And this is Ambrose. So we have 01 and 02. So that is archers and pikemen. And then we have 1, 2, 3 empty slots. So he's got 3 empty slots, 2 are populated. And then here we have some values, but they are, well, they're separated by 0. So if you could have up to 128 of a creature, I guess 127 because it would start at 0. You know, this value would basically go up to FF. That would be the max that you could have. Actually, no, it would be 256 or 255 if that was the case. So, I actually, what I think is going on here is I actually think you have 2 bytes. So I think you can actually have 65,535 of a creature. And I think that these 2 bytes represent that value of the creatures, because this would be your number of archers. This would be your number of pikemen. This would be the number of creature slot 3. This would be the number of creature slot 4. This would be the number of creature slot 5. And then you have your portrait, and then you have your artifacts. Now there's still a whole bunch of other zeros here, and we also, you know, if we go back and look, see if I can switch back to. So we're going back over here to Kastore. And we have a spellbook too. No spells to cast, but we have a spellbook. The spellbook isn't marked in there, but it's standard. So it's standard for a warlock, but there's no difference between the barbarian, the knight, the sorceress. So it's, I'm not sure what the deal is with the spellbook exactly. Maybe it's just there for decoration for the magic heroes. I mean, you have to buy it for like 500 gold for the might heroes, but I'm not sure how the game decides to show the spellbook or not. So we'll see. I might be able to make it appear with what I'm about to do. But anyway, we've decoded basically these values of the creatures, and then we have these empty slots. Why is this 14 and then 0 0? Well, there's something in engineering called little endian, where the machine reads the least significant bytes first. So this actually translates to 0014 in hex, which is, I guess that would be like 2021 would be the let's see. So FF would be 15 plus 10 would be 16, 11, 17, 12, 18, 13, 19, 14 would be 20. So this is 20. He has 20 archers. Basically is what he started out with. And if he had 256 archers, then this one would be populated here. So this would be 1401 would be 256 archers. So that's how I think that would play out. And you know, I could be wrong. I don't think I am, but it's possible. And one way to test this is just go into the game and crank through a bunch of levels and see if we can get more creatures than that, or we can do something with a hex editor, which is what I am about to do. So what I've done here is opened up this file, drri1234.map, and I went in and I found the address here for our friend Kastore. And so we have, you know, this is basically, let's see, right here is where it starts. And there's a whole bunch of zeros here and a bunch of things. So what I want to do first is make a couple of modifications to Kastore's values and see if we can change some things. So first of all, let's see if we can change this from Kastore to a different character. So let's make that 21. Whoever's after Kastore, we'll see. Let's give him 2 dragons. Or actually, you know what? Let's not give him 2 dragons. Let's try giving him 256 dragons. So let's make this 01. So let's see if we can give Kastore 256 dragons, make him very, very powerful. If the game breaks, that will tell us something. I'm going to also move this here, this FF. I'm just going to move this back 1. And let's give ourselves another artifact. Which artifact should we give ourselves? Let's see. I have some artifacts here. Why don't we give ourselves the endless sack of gold here, which is, well, that's 26, but why don't we just look it up on this? So the endless sack of gold is 1A. So I'm going to replace this FF with 1A. And let's add one more creature to Kastore. Let's give him some, let's see, how about some hydras? And let's give him 7 hydras. Or 6 hydras, I guess I typed. So I am going to just save this. And we're going to reload the map. So let's see if this... Okay. And I actually saved this in the wrong folder, so I need to quickly move this to the right folder. Let's go here and Dragon Rider that was just modified, and we're going to go to the file location and put this in maps. Now let's see if just by overwriting the map, if it was, I don't know if it was preloaded by the game or not. I guess we're going to find out. All right, look at this. So it's actually Sandro who comes after Kastore. We have an endless sack of gold, and we have 257 dragons, and we have 6 hydras. That's pretty cool. Somehow we have 255 experience too. I don't remember if we had experience. I don't think we did. So that is interesting. I think I just accidentally discovered that this slot here is experience, and it's probably little endian. So that's cool. All right, this is what you discover with reverse engineering. So let us make some more changes. What I would like to do, I'm gonna try and give Sandro some more experience and see what happens there. And I'm also going to try and put something in his spellbook, because my theory, sorry, this was Ambrose, not that. This is Kastore up here. So I moved this FF over thinking that this was some kind of like end terminal, and it does not appear to be that. This appears to be the experience block here. But I have this theory. So there's 29 spells, and this is, how many is this? This is 7 here. There's some more. What I want to do is just populate a couple of these values, and let's see if Sandro gets anything in his spellbook. See which spots correspond to which. So let's see. We were down here. So this was FF. So that increased his experience. You know what? Let's make this like 0.2 and just see if we add a few. What would that? I don't know. That'll probably be like another. He should have like maybe 750 experience or something after this if I put a 2 there. So let's see if that works out. And I'm just going to go down a couple of bytes, and I'm going to make this like 0.1, and let's go a couple more, and let's make this like 0.5, and just see what that turns into. So here we are back. Just copying the maps over again that I just modified. So Dragon Rider just modified. Putting it in the map level place, and let's reload and see what we've got now. Standard game, Dragon Rider, okay. So yep, 767. That's cool. No spells to cast. Okay, so that was not correct for the spell book. All right. Okay, so there's probably something missing there. We did discover the experience correctly. I'm willing to bet that the max experience you can have is 6,000 or 65,565. So let's check that right now. How about this? Let's see, where were we here? We did FF02. Let's make this FF. I am going to add a couple of other artifacts here and see what happens. Let's make this 1B and 1C, and then we have some experience. And then I'm going to try just putting 0, 1 here after that, after the experience block. And let's see if that like increases his attack power or if it has something to do with the spellbook. And let's see, these other values had, let's see. Okay, I made this like 0, 0. I may have to reset this in a second. It's 0, 0. So we'll reset those. And I'm just going to try populating a couple more values further down just to see if that changes anything. So let's go, and we need to again copy the edited map over. And let's have a look at what has happened now. So, oh wow, he has a lot. He has 131,071 experience. We have a couple more artifacts, but still no spells to cast. But, wow, look at this. It gave him a lot of attack and defense skills. So I guess the experience goes even further. He's level 22. Okay. Well, that's cool. We're learning how big the experience block is. So let's go back here. All right, so we gave Sandro some more experience, and I'm gonna change him back to caster. 20. And FF, and let's give him one more FF. And let's see what happens with that. I'm gonna make this 0, 1 just to see if we can go up to like 1,000,000 experience or something crazy. Still nothing from these, so that's interesting. And there's FF. I'm going to make this 0, 1, and we will try. Well, let's give that a try here. Okay, copying the map, replace, and okay, we're back to caster. He has -1. -1. So I think level 22 is probably the max. We still have no spells to cast. So cool. We learned the experience levels here. Excuse me. So this was 0, 0. So let's see, that was 3 FFs. What was that 2? No, I think that was me just testing about beyond that. So and then we have let's see, we had these artifacts. second, copy this back. I actually forgot how many we had in there. Oh, well, what level is he? 49. Okay, so I guess I went too far with the levels, but we can definitely get, it looks like 3 FFs. So this is probably the max experience that you can have in the game, which puts you at level 49. Let me just test that once more with a 0-1, just to see maybe there's some other override. Oops. Okay, we're copying this in. Oh, nope, it's there still. It keeps going. So that is the level, but if you do FF, it becomes too big. He is nice and powerful, and I guess it just sort of randomly assigns some values there. So I'm gonna try something else here, and because it seems like we're limited to 4 artifacts, and then it goes to experience. So what happens if we try and put another artifact in here? So let's try 1D, and then let's make this 0, 0, 0, 0, 0, 0. So I'm getting rid of the FF values and just seeing if that like breaks something. See if those FFs are a some kind of end marker. So you will witness if it crashes with me. Okay, he has 29 experience. There are no more artifacts. So perhaps that's the limit. That perhaps there's a limit of starting artifacts for a character. That's my working theory right now. Is we have a limit on the artifacts, and the 1D that I put in there, I bet that's a hex value of 29. Yep, look at that, 29. So basically there are 4 artifact slots after the hero identifier, and then we have 4 experience slots. Let me just see if this goes up to, I'm going to make this like 0F, and just see if that, see what that does. Anyway, so we're at that point. I want to see, after these experience levels, what happens if we go 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1, 0, 1. I just want to see if we get anything like spells in that as well. So copying the map over, exit. No, just new game. Okay, so we got a lot of experience, level 64. So we're still not at the limit there. But still no spells to cast. Okay. Well, I wonder if I can Control Z this a bunch back to normal. I cannot. Okay, well, I'll just overwrite it with an original. But I basically want to just go through here and make everything 0, 1. Let's just try and break something. Now, if I get to that 46, that's the end, I believe. I believe this is the terminator. And then you get these 3, and then you get that faction. So this is the end of the file. So I basically just populated everything with 1. And I'm gonna just bump the experience level here as well. Let's just go up to 1F and see if we break things, and make this FFFF. And I just want to keep bumping up the experience and see what our max experience is for a hero. So, new game. Okay, we're at level 68. So still not maxed out. That's cool. Still no spells to cast though. Huh. So I don't understand the spell books. I don't quite get why. I mean, I guess I've inferred that there are four artifact slots and some experience slots. Still don't know how the spellbook works. Well, I'll have to do a little more research and keep going on that. But anyway, this was a reasonably successful reverse engineering of the basically hero specification in Windows 95. Now, there's one last thing I want to show, which is how do I know the location of these heroes? Now, I haven't fully figured this out yet, but what I have figured out is I've generated a map using ASCII characters, and let's see, is it this one? Nope, not that one. That was something else. Let's put this over here. It's not there either. I think it's this one. This is the maps. So what I have here So what I've done here is output the ASCII characters as maps. Let me see if I can blow this up a little bit so it's a little easier to see. Maybe that's too big. How about this? So this, if you look here, this map kind of loosely matches what you see over here in the small screen. And you know, I can see there's these little there's an @ here, and there's some ats here where these other heroes are located. So we got these 3 heroes down here, and we've got Kastore located up here, and then there's you know, here's the red faction. There's no hero. Yellow, no hero, and where's green, no hero either. So so there's no other heroes. These are the 4 heroes. This map here represents the object tiles. This is the sound overlay, so that you can see where some of the sounds are. And then this is the bytes of, this is the second 2 bytes of the of that 4-byte tile map that's at the end of the file in the extra Windows 95 information. Now, looking at those two, I see a K here, and I see S U T here. So I see, you know, there's something there. And then this is tile deviations, and I see very clearly there's something going on here. So basically, I'm pretty sure that these locations of the heroes are encoded in this tile map, this 4-byte tile map at the end, and I still don't know exactly how that's encoded. So that's going to be one of the next things I have to sit down and figure out. And I was looking at this as a pair of words. So 0 and 1 would be a word, and bytes 0 and 1 and bytes 2 and 3 would be a word. It could be that it's bytes 0, 1, 2, and 3, so that it's 2 words, it's a double word. It could be that it's bytes 1, 2, and 3, and it could be something else. I don't know. My guess is it's maybe going to be an address that points to, that points to like this location in the file, and then says that that hero is here at this coordinate. That is something that could be encoded in 4 bytes. It would be 2 bytes of address, and then 2 bytes of a 72 by 72 coordinate. So that's what I'm going to look for next. And I may write a script to do that, or I may just dig in and look at. I'll probably write a script to dump the 4-byte word maps and then look specifically at this map, look specifically for the address and this location. I think that's the most likely placement for something like this. And I'm wondering if that is redundant with the original 10-byte tile map, and they did it in the Windows 95 editor to make it easier to open maps in the map editor, or to be able to open maps easier in Windows 95. So there's also one more thing to test on the Dragon Rider map, which we're looking up here at Kastore's character. This 17 is the dragon, 01 is how many he has. There were 3 bytes before the creature slot. The first 2 bytes are zeros. This third byte is also a 0 for Kastore. But when we look down here at Ambrose, the third byte is 01. When we look down here at Astra, the third byte is 03. When we look down here at Antoine, our third byte is 02. So these could be the colors of the player. These could be who owns the player, or it could be the class of the player, whether it's knight, sorceress, barbarian, or warlock. So what I want to do to just test this is let's change Kastore to something else. So let's make Kastore 01 from 00, and let's see what happens. And let's load the game. Dragon Rider. Okay. And we have no hero. So what does that mean? We're the blue castle, but we have no hero. We are in trouble because there's 3 others. So Kastore is red. We are blue. So we gave Kastore to Ambrose. So they're on the same team. So that is team, well, whatever team that is. I guess it's team 1, which is not us. So yeah, that answers that.